Hello and welcome. We're here in Dale, or Go Ahead, Tell Me, having conversations with positive change makers. Today's guest is Roslyn Parker. She's a social entrepreneur who's provoking a great impact with her work around the world. Hello and welcome, Roslyn Parker. I'm very happy to have you here sharing your story with us in Dale Tell Me or Go Ahead Tell Me. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, let's do what this program is all about. This is Go Ahead Tell Me. So you tell us your story, personal and professional. How did it all start?
Well, my story begins very humbly. I was born in Norfolk, Virginia, and I am the mother of two adult children. I have a son who lives in Dallas, Texas, and my daughter lives in Newark, New Jersey.
And now you live in Florida, right? And we met in
Yes.
Florida. I
Yes, I'm in
know,
Fort
Ros,
Lauderdale, Florida now.
and I know that you lived also in Texas, and you mentioned your son lives in Texas. How is it there with your friends and your son?
Yeah, I lived in Dallas and Houston for a total of 6 years. So I have a lot of good friends there. And of course, my son is there. And this past week has been very, very difficult. The state of Texas just was not prepared for this. My son had been without electricity for about 4 days. I was able to help him to secure a hotel room through an organization that was set up by one of my proteges of Travel to Do Good. Her name is Jada. And the name of the organization that she's with is called Warm the Block.
Okay.
It's people bringing together their resources and their knowledge and their, passion to serve, to help those in need in Dallas and Houston and really throughout the state of Texas. Warmtheblock.com helped my son get a hotel room. So he was able to check into a hotel room, get warm, take a shower, just kind of have a peaceful night's rest. He did go back to his apartment. His electricity was restored, but now he does not have water. So there are a lot of people that are suffering, and their pipes have burst. There's flooding, ceilings caving in. There's in sub-zero temperatures in their homes. It's just really, really very tragic. So this week has been really, really challenging for me because I have so many friends there, and of course my son is there. So we're just trying to share information and just ask people to go to that website, warmtheblock.com. This is a legitimate organization. They are helping people with food, with water, with getting hotel rooms. And if people can't afford a hotel room, in some cases, they're able to get them in there at no cost or at a discounted cost. So I'm very thankful to Jade. I'm very thankful to this organization because I've been very, very worried.
Yes, and thank you for sharing that. I know, and we were talking before, and you mentioned that your son also was helping them, get people their hotel rooms and everything. I didn't know that they were, putting the prices higher. It's terrible. It's always terrible when these things happen. And I met you in that way, Rose. I met you, and when you told me that about your son, I know because I met you, you caring for others, working for women, working for children, working for others, by the way. So let's talk about safe space. That's when we met. When I met you, you were the president of the board. So tell us about this.
Yeah, the Safe Space Foundation is a nonprofit organization. It's based in South Florida, and they provide support. They're the advisory board for 4 county-run shelters in Dade County. And so as a survivor of domestic violence, I just wanted to take that entire situation, not only put it behind me, but just lift it up for a higher cause to support women and empower women and children so that they could not just survive, but so that they could thrive. So when we met, I remember you did a video
Mm-hmm.
for Safe Space so that they could help get the word out, help educate people. And so that was our connection, was, our desire to serve. And so from Safe Space, I moved to Texas. Actually, I was the president for a couple of years. And then I moved to Dallas and Houston because of a career relocation, and shifted some of what I was doing. At that time, I had already established my travel agency, Affinity Travel Group, and Travel to Do Good, and was kind of doing that in the background of my corporate gig. And so approximately 4 years ago, I, realized my dream of, working in my travel change agency full time. And so
Mm-hmm.
it was no longer running in the background of what I was doing, in my corporate life. This is now a full-time passion. I've taken my passion for travel and
Yeah.
for service and combined it into what I call a travel change agency.
And we love to hear about that. This is the main thing that you're doing, and that's why we always kept in touch. And I've been seeing what you've been doing with Travel to Do Good. And but let's go back. I wanted to go back to Safe Space, like you said, Rose, because I really, really admire the work you do and the way you do it. I remember in that board, I became a member, and then I said, okay, I can help with, like you do, with the skills that we have. And so I worked on a video. Um, but I remember in that board, there were Anglo African Americans, and I don't know if I was the only Latina or a couple of Latinas. But my thing with with working with this type of organizations, is that we all, should get united in work towards helping others. This is one of the things that I learned through Safe Space. I met other people, and a lot of people like Magali. Magali, she's in South
Mm-hmm.
America, and she's working with helping others. Or we know Wanda, by the way, and she's also
Mm-hmm.
helping in Miami. This is the thing. You mentioned it, and this is why I admire people like you, like Wanda, like Magali. We know that we lived something, and then we, like you said, survivor. I like to say, we had that experience with some issue, but then we help others. We understand what happened, but then we help others. And that's why I've seen you doing, and that's the way I really would like any try. I know that you work with human trafficking too. And for me, any victim of, because I believe we all are victims or victims, but any victim should become, should leave that stage at some point, and know that we all deserve a great life. What can you say about that?
Yeah, I believe that, we have so many lessons on this journey called life. And that was a huge lesson for me in terms of about self-esteem and self-worth. And so when I was able to remove myself out of that situation many, many years ago, I vowed that I would support and empower other women who were in similar situations. And of course, in empowering women, you lift the children out of that situation. So for me, empowering women is just extremely important. And it's a huge umbrella, because under that umbrella, for me personally, is not only domestic violence, but also human trafficking awareness. And so
Mhm.
when we really get to the root cause, oftentimes it comes down to, women having access to resources, women being better educated, women, feeling more confident, or having more self-esteem or more self-worth. So there are just so many areas, and some days it feels very, very daunting. But just
Mhm.
me in my own way, through my company, which I consider myself a social entrepreneur. So basically,
Mhm.
what that means, as a social entrepreneur, I use entrepreneurial principles to address social issues. and social causes. So in this case, it's
Mhm.
about women's empowerment. So what I focus on in terms of the trips and the travel opportunities is really partnering with nonprofit organizations and groups that are focused on empowering women. And that might look like a number of different things. You know, when I first started my company, Travel to Do Good, I really focused on volunteerism, but I found that it's not just volunteering and serving. It's also about learning about other cultures so that you can understand how you can better serve. So immersing yourself in that culture, educating yourself about, you know, a, a specific area, a way of life. And through that, connecting with the individuals in country that you can work hand in hand with, so that you can offer the best support, not going in as someone that's going to be a savior and, not going in that way, but,
Mhm.
oftentimes going in as equals and working with those
Yeah.
organizations and those people that run the organization so that you can further support, more people in a more impactful way.
What you do is really wonderful, Rose. I remember a couple of years ago when Kimberly, my daughter, started the social enterprise too, bringing products from Honduras and selling them here. You contacted us because you also went to Nicaragua. Tell me about that trip to Nicaragua.
Yeah, it happened. Interesting enough, my daughter and son, we had gone to Nicaragua as a family vacation. My daughter had a friend who was from Nicaragua, so we decided that we would visit Nicaragua. And on the way back, my son sat next to a gentleman who was one of the principals at Grand Pacifica, which was a resort in Nicaragua. And my son started talking to him about what I do. And from that, um, Ken and I, formed a relationship. And with that particular country, that particular situation, I was able to bring physicians and medical personnel and other volunteers to serve at a medical mission there. And so
Yeah.
Grand Pacifica have built a clinic in the villages outside of their resort, and we were able to support that clinic, with manpower, again with
Mm.
doctors and nurses, and we brought in resources. And a lot of what, even in that situation, a lot of what we were doing was really about empowering the individuals that lived in Villa de Carmen, which was the village that we
Mm.
were serving. We
Mhm.
had workshops that were, of course, in Spanish. So we partnered with, um, a nonprofit organization there, helped them help themselves. We, worked alongside the doctors and nurses there, and, nonprofit organizations that were there on the ground. So we were able, to put together workshops that, you know, that really address healthy eating and nutrition and
Mm.
self-care and
Mm.
self-awareness. And so that really, addressing those issues oftentimes can help to avoid situations where, women find themselves, being abused. And
Yeah.
so it's these little steps along the way, they're all connected. And even with the social enterprise that you mentioned that your daughter was involved in, if women can find a way to earn their own money and, be able to find their way and be financially empowered, then they don't oftentimes get themselves in situations where they are being abused, because they are self-sufficient and they don't have to remain in a situation where they're being abused. So the
Yeah.
one thing that I want to stress, though, is so important to work with a partner in country to really help you to understand the dynamics of what is going on in that country. whether it's their
Mhm.
culture or just a way of life, that is so, so important. In Nicaragua is a language barrier, of course, for me, because habla
Mhm.
español muy poquito. I speak very little Spanish, and I'm always
Mhm.
threatening to learn more Spanish than I have, but I don't speak it fluently, obviously.
Mm.
And so it's
But
just
see, I look at my accent, so please do it. So
I have many friends, so there's really no excuse. If I had a conversation every day
yeah.
with one of my, Latina friends, I would be well on
Uh-huh.
my way. But, I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that, we could not have, pulled anything off without partnering with an
Mm.
organization there on the ground that understands the dynamics and understands the culture,
Mhm.
because there are many, there are just many things that hinder people from leaving. And it's
Yeah.
very different versus what happens in the US. And there might be a lack of resources, and, there just could be a plethora of reasons. So we
Yeah.
really try to go in just empowering people so that they can make better decisions. So it was a medical mission, but
Uh-huh.
indirectly, we did always have the underlining theme of empowerment. And so we empower through
Mm.
information, through the resources, through education. And then, ultimately, our goal is to ensure that people can make better decisions about their lives and the lives of their children. And so the work that
Yeah.
I did in Nicaragua, we did about 8 medical missions. And then
Oh
there
wow.
was a change, in terms of the political scene and the government. And so we had to stop doing those. But I have a lot of friends there, and I miss them and hope to one
Yeah.
day return.
And now that you mentioned the political singing, that's actually what stopped us to continue with Kim and Rose's the enterprise. And Kimberly went for her master and then stay in Washington. But it was in both countries, by the way. We really had that obstacles. There were a lot of things, the caravans coming during that time to the US and all the political things, and also in Honduras. So but anyway, I admire what my daughter wanted to do because she was born in Miami, but she always is like, no, it's my family's country, and
Mm,
we really wanna, like you said, empower people. And but what you do, Rose, and how you again, you're an executive that has worked for different corporations, and then your skills, you took them and you keep helping others. Tell me about other experience in other countries that you went with Travel to Do Good.
yeah. So basically, again, the whole premise is about doing good when you travel. And so in recent years, I have really been more focused on the Africa diaspora. So that would include the continent of Africa, the Caribbean, Latin America, South America, with an emphasis on the diaspora, the Africa diaspora, because I really feel that I can be more effective if
Mm-hmm.
I have a niche, and so I didn't want to limit myself to one country and to one place. So I said the Africa diaspora. And so in that work, I've had the opportunity to coordinate travel programs for university groups, for other affinity groups, associations, nonprofits, groups of friends, where they travel to a country, and as part of the destination experience, part of doing good, they learn more about the culture so they can better understand how they can serve. And in some cases, we actually volunteer. We did volunteer projects. I have a volunteer partner in South Africa that I've worked with for many years, and I've seen their school go from dirt floors with the ceiling that was leaking, and in the winter it would get cold, and the children were at the daycare, at the school, and they had to be just really wrapped up because it was just so cold and damp because of the when it rained, the water coming in. And so they've gone from that situation to a small campus. And with this campus, there are several classrooms. There is a bakery, I think they even have a dress shop, and they even have a counseling center. And all of this has come about from travelers, not just my travelers, but people who have visited South Africa and made their way to Maria's school and her children's home, and who have either donated money, have donated time, have given resources. And this is like the ultimate story of empowerment, because the daycare accommodates the children of the women who live in the village. And so they pay on a sliding scale basis based on their income. And I know Maria has taken in children whose parents were unable to pay, so I know that she does that. But the women can go to work. They can go to work, and they can now take care of their families, knowing that their children are being taken care of. They can go out and work, they can earn money, and their children are in school and they're learning. And they also have the other social enterprises, the bakery that I mentioned, the ladies sewing group where they, had a contract to sew uniforms. So this is really what it's all about, because people want to maintain their dignity. Just like you and I, they want to be able to provide for their children and for their families, and they want to do it with dignity. They don't want a handout. And contrary to popular opinion, oftentimes people are just very proud, and it really hurts me to know that they feel ashamed or less than because they're going through a hard time. And so sometimes people do need that, in situations, but we like to look at it as giving a hand up instead of a handout. And so in this scenario, through the volunteer efforts, through people, wanting to understand, wanting to be better educated, working alongside the nonprofits that are already in the country, you can see it's a whole social enterprise now. It's a whole system that is really, very, very positive. And it was made possible because people traveled. They traveled to do good, whether they traveled with me or traveled with another group. They made their way there and they contributed in some way. And so even if it's just a listening ear or a smile or an encouraging word, that can go a long way. But this is not an attraction. These are real people, real lives, trying to make it under some pretty tough circumstances. So I absolutely adore Maria. She's one of many, one of many powerful stories, powerful testimonies of someone that just said, you know what, I'm going to make a difference. Someone needs to do it, and I'm going to do it. And as a result of that, she attracts people that want to support and want to empower her and the people that are part of her extended family in that village. So that's just one of, I could go on and on. I know that we don't have a lot of time, but that story is really a testament of what we're trying to do.
Yes, and I really think we should touch on the topic of, and you I think mentioned it. I mentioned it with another of our guests, the white savior complex, and which is self-serving. And as I said, it doesn't have to be a white person. It could be a Latino, or it could be an African, someone that is helping other in a self-serving manner. It's like, okay, and now with the social media, okay, I'm here helping these people in Central America or in South America, or and I'm going there to do this. But in their country, like it could be US or it could be Spain, which this lack of unity is happening around the world. So like immigration is not just a problem in US, it's a problem in some countries in Africa, I mean also in Europe and South America. So people are like, no, we don't want immigrants, or you are different, and they don't treat them the same in their country, but they go and help them in their countries in a way. And I can understand, like, okay, I'm gonna help you in your country to so you don't emigrate, and but what do you think about that? How can we really make, like you said, people understand that we are one, and that, you know, we can be in the place of the other?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're seeing that now, in other countries and developing countries, there are rolling power outages, right? And we saw that last year in California, and we saw that in the state of Texas. I mean, they, put in rolling power outages. So this is not just something that happens in other places, it's happening here. So at the end of the day, I do believe that we are all one. So if one is harmed, all are harmed. And so in this message of unity, I guess I circle back around to what I said earlier, is that, in this work that I do, I really, really try to focus on treating people in the way that I would want to be treated. And so I do a lot of education before a trip in terms of preparation, not just what to pack, but what to expect, information about the culture, all of those pieces, the history, so that people have this background. But the most important thing that I share with people when they travel, whether they travel to do good or whatever it is that you do, at the end of the day, we are all the same. So there isn't, one group of people that knows more than the other. Like, we're equal, really. We are, may, come from different stations of life, have different education, whatever, but we are all equal, and that mutual respect is so important. There isn't one person that is above the other, because I learned so much when I travel, and especially I learn from people who are different from me. I learned so much. And so that's why I have people all over the world and in my own community or wherever in this country that come from different backgrounds and different races and have different ways of life. Because at the end of the day, we really all are the same. And so when we serve, it is really, really important to serve from that point of view, that I often tell people that you're going to receive more than you will give, because you will. And there will be something that someone will teach you. There'll be some gift that you'll get out of the conversation, out of the experience, that you could not put a price on. Like, you couldn't write a check for what you will receive in that situation. And so treating people with dignity, understanding, or being mindful, I should say. I don't know if we'll ever fully understand, but just being mindful of the individual, their culture, their way of life, respecting that, taking the lead from the nonprofit organizations that are in country, that are there every day. And the way that I travel to do good now is very different than when I started my company 9 years ago. And when I went full time, which has been about 4 years now, then I grew by leaps and bounds. And then I had a total paradigm shift. So dignity, we're not looking down on the individual, that the savior complex, that doesn't exist. It shouldn't exist. It doesn't exist in this type of work. And like I said, this is not it is voluntourism, I guess you could say, but it's not an attraction. These are people, their lives, and we should be respectful of that and mindful of that. Even when you're taking pictures, I always ask, can I take pictures? Sometimes I give the camera to the kids and let them take pictures and selfies, and they enjoy that. But I always ask, they're making sure that their parents are okay with it. So even something as simple as that. But I have many, many examples and many stories of people just not doing their homework before they came, before they went on a trip. I have many stories of people not, of putting themselves first. Like what was important to them was more important than the overall project. I have many stories like that. And so,
And that is the problem, I think. In I'm
sure.
sorry to interrupt, Ross, but it's not just doing this, traveling and helping others. I think the problem in everything is when we think about
Yeah.
ourselves first. But I understand, and you mentioned it before when we were talking about other causes, that self-love is important, self-worth, and trying to tell the people. For me, that's the solution. If you love yourself, but in a way that you're not better than anyone, but that you love yourself, you take care of yourself, you know what you deserve, that's like a key for a person to change. But that doesn't mean, again, that you're gonna think on yourself first, because it's like you said, putting yourself on the shoes of the other. I think mutual
Yeah.
respect, because some people sometimes it's like, I need respect. But if you respect the same, and again, it's a learning process, and also taking responsibility. This, I'm just sharing things that as a human being, as a woman, as a mother, as a daughter, has helped me understand the mutual respect, that taking responsibility of something that I do or did, and not judging, because again, we always think that we do better if we made this decision. So when we just take care of ourselves, and again, I'm saying all of this because if you're going to work, for people who are listening to us, in any social cause, it could be domestic violence, it could be, human trafficking, it could be other things, having those things, let's not judge, let's look for that we are all the same, like you said, and self-love, just instill self-love in others. But you had to change, as we all did during the pandemic, because you were traveling. So what happened with Travel to Do Good during the pandemic?
Yeah. So a lot of people ask me, how was I making it? Because I was always traveling. And fortunately for me, the first quarter of the year before the pandemic, I actually went to 4 countries. So I was good not traveling the rest of the year, because I had already done some amazing trips and had done some amazing things. And 2020 was going to be my banner year. But the universe had other plans. And so as a
Mm-hmm.
result of the pandemic, I've had to pivot, and we are now, Do Good is now offering what we call our visa program. And visa stands
Uh-huh.
for Virtual Interactive Study Abroad Program. And
Mm.
what we
Oh.
are now offering is an opportunity for students. We're starting with students, and then we will move to what I consider lifelong learners, but we're starting with students, with a program for them
Mm-hmm.
to virtually travel to a destination. And I would have to say that it
Oh.
goes beyond just seeing a video. It goes beyond going to YouTube and watching a couple of people,
Yeah.
influencers, talk about their experiences or whatever. We are doing
Uh-huh.
this through experiential activities where we're going to be using, whether it's Zoom or other online technologies, to share experiences. And the most important part of
Uh-huh.
any destination are the people that you meet. And so I am going to be introducing to my clients, to my prospective travelers, to my virtual student ambassadors, the opportunity to connect with some amazing people from around the world. And so this, I believe, is going to
Yeah.
be more accessible, because obviously it's going to be in alignment with where we are today. We cannot travel internationally. It's not safe.
Mm-hmm.
Traveling in groups is not safe.
Yeah.
And I think for some students who are able to travel, or who were able to travel abroad, that's great. But for those who were not, because it was cost prohibitive, this is an opportunity to do that. And so we had our first group from Fort Mill Middle School in Fort Mill, South Carolina, travel virtually to Accra, Ghana, to meet their peers at the Alpha Beta Educational Center. And we did this last week,
Wow.
and the conversation and the dialogue and the connection was amazing. And what the students proved to me is what we already know, that we are more the same than we are different. They talked about a
Yeah.
lot of different topics, and some interesting things came out. How the students are relating, or how they're dealing with COVID in the US versus in Ghana. So it was a really, really good conversation. And I'll be sharing
Yeah.
snippets, over the next several weeks. The entire student body, what we did is we had representatives or our student ambassadors from each school to get into this conversation dialogue. But the entire program will be shared with the student body on the 24th and the 25th of this month. And so the educators, the staff back that we've gotten from the students has been excellent. Everyone has agreed they've learned so much, and they don't want the connection to end. So we are working on some way to
Yeah.
keep the individuals connected. At one point, it might have been a pen pal program many years ago or something, but we're going to be doing something really cool. So I'm really, really excited about it. But again, this kind of proves
Yeah.
out what we already know, that we're more different than we are the same. I'm sorry, let me correct that. We are more the
Same.
same than we
Yeah.
are different.
And
And
we are
our
different, of
differences
course.
we can celebrate, and we can celebrate those differences
Yeah.
and learn more about each other
Exactly.
and
And
ourselves and
learn.
ourselves.
Exactly. And that visa program, please remember, Travel to Do Good visa program. You're the expert exactly to do this. Like you said, this is not a YouTube, like my mom, she loves travel shows, but it's not the same, obviously, so I really hope that you as an expert develop this in a way that, like you said, you're starting with the students, but that people can really travel and then know other
Yeah.
people from other countries and feel like they are in there and know other cultures. You just mentioned something like it was so different for people in Latin America and in other countries and continents to deal with the COVID-19. And so we are really blessed to be here, but obviously we should understand what other countries are going through to again, you are the expert for Travel to Do Good and keep doing this virtually and when the flights and we can travel is gonna be another thing, but right now I think you're an expert. I really think, where can people go to your website and follow you and look what you're
Yeah,
doing,
so
Ross?
our website is traveltodogood.com. Also, we have an Instagram page and a Facebook page, all under Travel to Do Good. In Instagram, it's Travel to Do Good _global. Twitter, Travel to Do Good. Facebook, Travel to Do Good. And you can follow me, Roslyn Parker. And on Instagram is Roz Lives Life. But I would like to just say that, at the end of the day, I'm reading a book by Anthony DeMello, and in
Mm-hmm.
one of the chapters he just talked about the fact that we are all selfish. I mean, we are, to a certain degree. We really, really are. And so I guess
Mm-hmm.
the key is really not to judge, is to really just
Mm-hmm.
to put yourself in someone else's shoes and just your heart and open up your mind to understanding another culture, because it's the fear and the anxiety that creates the separation, that creates all of the angst and all of the negative things that come with it. And travel has been one of the greatest teachers. I mean, because you learn how to lean into the moment. You learn how to just be with the. You learn about other people, another way of life, other cultures, music, food. You get to understand yourself in terms of
Mm-hmm.
your own tolerance level, your own selfishness, right? And so,
Yeah.
but I think that just being mindful of that and just being conscious of that can shift it. And so, a lot of people have good intentions and they want to do good. And I don't want to discourage people from doing good, but do your homework, and connect with individuals that can help you make an even more positive impact. And just keep, just keep your mind and your heart open, and that will take you a long way.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Rose. And as you know, I really wanted you to be, we have other guests that are already lined up there for these multicultural change makers. That's the difference, the tweak that I did for Dale Cuéntame. And we're not only interviewing in Spanish to Hispanics, obviously, but people who are doing good like you. And I wanted for you to be in the last one in this month of Black History Month, because again, you're a great example of what you're doing for others in that unity that I really work towards. So I don't want to forget that you're a singer, and I just want you to share that you sing
Oh boy.
there in Florida so people can go and listen to you. I'm so excited about that.
I think
Tell
it's
us.
just that has come as a result of fate, I think. And I have had the opportunity to connect with this amazing Italian restaurant, Paolo's Three's Company. I'm gonna give them a plug in Dania Beach. I think it's all come from just this mindset that I have as a result of traveling and just, being a little bit adventurous, being a little bit fearless, and just being in the moment, right? Just being in the moment. And, I always try to say yes to an opportunity to grow. And I know that this is really not just about me singing. It's about me being able to serve in a different way, because people have been really, kind of sad and depressed. And people tell me
Yeah.
afterward how happy I've made them. And it just really, really warms my heart. So I'm serving in a different way. I also see this maybe
Yeah.
as the moment for me to just kind of practice on this stage. Maybe one day I'll be on a bigger stage delivering a TED talk or something. That's my big, big dream. So this is really a gift, and I am so thankful to be able to share and to serve in this way. So it's just another way to serve, but it just all came as a result of just, as a traveler, this is kind of who you have to be. You're open and receptive. And when the world hands you a gift like this, you say yes.
Yeah, oh my God. And you
Thank
are a
you.
gift, Rose. Thank you, thank
Thank
you,
you.
thank you for being here and give us sharing your story. So again, thank you. I really don't want to let you go, but I have to. As always, we
Thank
will
you for
keep
having me.
talking. I know, as you know, we really have been in touch, and I admire your work and what you do, and I really wanted to have you here, and I hope in the future we're gonna work together also in some project, and you're gonna be in TED Talk really soon. So thank you,
Thank
Rose,
you.
again. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much
Thank you
for
so
being
much.
here.
Thank you for having me. And congratulations to you for the amazing work that you're doing with your podcast. And I feel very honored to be here. And I know that we're going to do some great things together. So let's just keep the communication going, and let's just see where it takes us.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure about that. A big hug, Rose. Thank you very much. And thank you for listening and being here. These are talks with people who have wonderful stories, of course, because they're positive change makers in this beautiful multicultural world. If you haven't, please subscribe and share. Hasta la próxima.